Namaskar and welcome to StudyIQ. I am your friend Rahul Saigaonkar. The agenda for today's discussion is connected with agriculture, where we are going to discuss specifically about farmer-producer organizations. Why are we discussing this? Because recently a very interesting input came up in Indian Express which spoke about the success story of FPOs in Uttar Pradesh. In light of that, we are going to have a comprehensive discussion on farmer-producer organizations or farmer-producer companies. In fact, I had received a couple of messages from aspirants who wanted a comprehensive discussion on FPO. I remember one of the messages a few months back where a person had asked me, sir, how to create a farmer producer organization. I would say I wouldn't be a proper person to give them legal advice with respect to this, but I hope that this discussion would become a starting point towards understanding FPOs better. So, what are we going to know in this discussion? We are going to first understand FPO. We'll compare FPO with cooperatives. Now, to understand that, we'll also talk about the history of cooperative movement in India, because we need to understand why the idea of FPOs has come, and then we'll talk about the status of FPOs today. Along with it, what are the challenges that we are going to face forward. We'll also talk about some success stories, including the story of Uttar Pradesh. In fact, this can be a very good question. See, farmer producer organization, engines of agri innovation. Just cut this and you can have a very good essay topic for yourself, where you have to write an essay in say 1200 words. It can become a potential question in your GS paper 3 as well. So a very important discussion. To get to know everything about FPO, stay with me till the very end. All right. Before I begin, there is a big notice. We are running Dashera sale. Happy Ayudh Puja to all of you. Happy Vijay Dashmi, which is coming up. And during this Dashera, StudyIQ is offering discounts, heavy discounts on all the courses. You do know our flagship program, P2I, Prelims to Interview Initiative, its batch 2 is going to begin from 23rd October. It is available in multiple formats for multiple validities. Whichever year you're planning, 2024, 25, 26, just go to our website, enroll for whatever suits you, and then I'll see you in the class. All right. Do not forget to use the code Rahul Live for maximum discount during the Dashera sale. Right. Let's begin our discussion. As I told you, our interaction is about farmer producer organization. Now, to understand this, we need to focus a little bit about the land holding situation in India. Now, this is the data connected with the land holdings of India. We have maximum more than 85% of farmers who hold very small amount of land. That means more than 85% of farmers in India, they have minuscule land holding. Many are small and marginal farmers. Now, to define these small and marginal farmers are those whose land holding is less than 1 hectare or up to 1 hectare, not acre, hectare. Small farmers are those farmers who are holding land between 1 to 2 hectares, and big farmers are those who have above 10 hectares. Somewhere in between the small and big farmers, you get the medium farmers. That means farmers holding up to 2 hectares to 10 hectares land, they are medium farmers. And in India, if you look at the numbers, take any state, Kerala, Bihar, Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, more than 90% of farmers in these states, they have very small land holding. Majority are small and marginal farmers. The average for India stands at 86%. This is according to the Agriculture Census 2025-26. Now, what does this prove us? This proves that in India, land is heavily fragmented, and the kind of land laws and inheritance laws that are there in India, in future, we might expect further land fragmentation in our country. What does this tell you? This tells you the small and marginal farmers who have very low land, very small amount of land, when they go for farming, right, when they are indulged in agriculture, will they be able to develop themselves, or will they simply be able to sustain themselves? The answer would be sustenance. And the sustenance itself, it becomes really tough. Why? Because agriculture and farming in India is subject to many vagaries. It is dependent on many variables. For example, monsoon. Let me give you my own example. Right? We are now actually involved in the harvesting. Now we have soybean in my village, and soybean harvesting this year has been quite tough actually. Why? Because of the peculiar climatic conditions or peculiar weather conditions this year. What has happened normally, whenever you're harvesting, what do you look at? Say for soybean, I have been involved in say last 3 to 4 years there. So this has been the first time that I have observed that the soybean crop, normally when it comes for harvesting, the seeds, that means the fruit basically dries, right? You have to extract soybean out of that fruit, so it starts to dry. But this year there has been a very peculiar phenomena. The fruit has dried from top, but at the bottom it is still green, and harvesting has become really tough, because in the machine, if the fruit itself or the beans are green, then how will you harvest that, right? So many challenges. This is one of the challenges that I'm telling you, because the farmers are based or waiting for water, waiting for monsoon, waiting for facilities, waiting for credit, so many things. Add to that the labor problem. So what is the meaning of this? The meaning is that to make farming more sustainable, to make farming more better, what we need is we need an aggregation model. That means we need to bring farmers together so that the land is pooled, the resources are pooled, and then the output can be more and they get better bargaining power. That is what common sense tells us. And that is what we tried also. Because in India, cooperative movement is something which has been pushed right from 20th century. I can say right from the times of British. The first cooperative act, it came during British in 1912, if I'm not wrong. So from 20th century itself, or even before that, Indian culture has been the culture of cooperation. You do know that. Say, for example, from the financial domain, we have had bishis, right? We have had bishis. It's basically pooling of the money among the community people, isn't it? But again, please remember, when I say cooperative movement, I am specifically discussing from the agricultural perspective. Why? Because in India, I can give many successful examples of cooperatives, because cooperatives are found, say, in your retail sector, in your housing sector. It is found in many other sectors. The banking sector is one example which has been quite successful. Yes, there have been some examples of corruption in the cooperative banks, etc. But cooperatives can be there in different sectors, in housing sectors, in retail sectors, so many sectors. But I am specifically talking about agriculture. So what idea we developed was some sort of pooling of resources for agriculture, and it started way back in 20th century itself. During British times as well, some initiatives were brought. But post independence, or just at the cusp of independence, one of the committees, Saraya committee, it recommended that 50% of villages and 30% of rural population should come within the ambit of cooperatives in the next 10 years. This did not happen. In fact, Gandhi was a promoter of cooperatives. After independence in 1949, J.C. Kumarappa committee was set up. Again, this was for the agrarian reforms. Kumarappa committee batted for cooperatives in farming. Cooperatives, basically, say, bringing farmers together, even in terms of bringing land holdings together. So this did not progress a lot. Later on, through the 5-year plans, cooperatives as a model, it became a state policy itself. Through different 5-year plans, the cooperatives were promoted. In 1958, a national policy on cooperatives itself came for the first time. Later on, it became a part of 7th 5-year plan, where the cooperatives, whichever were created, now their managerial capacity, self-regulation, management, etc., was to be promoted. But still, we can say cooperatives in agriculture did not take off too much. I can give you some examples for sure. Apart from that, in 2006, Vaidyanathan committee, it tried to revive cooperatives, but I would say it had limited success because of the legacy problem, because cooperatives in India have been plagued with other kinds of problems. Say, for instance, less amount of institutional help, too much of regulation from the state, and a lot of corruption, etc. Examples I can give so many. Then eventually what we did was we brought cooperatives under the constitution itself. We granted them constitutional status. But despite all these features, or all this help from the state, one question that beckons in front of us is, has cooperative model been successful in India? Now you're thinking, sir, you told that we are going to discuss about FPO model, and now you're harping about the cooperative sector. You'll understand why I'm discussing this. Again, I asked this question from the agricultural perspective. Now you might say yes for this. Sir, has it succeeded? Yes, I can give some examples in some sectors specifically. Say, for instance, Amul. Right? Amul is a cooperative federation, the milk federation. Karnataka Milk Federation is another example. Different kinds of cooperatives have come. I can give some success stories. Apart from that, when you talk about other cooperatives, yes, they have been success. Banking sector has been success. housing sector, some retail sectors, consumer sectors. Recently in Karnataka, even cab aggregators have created their cooperatives. But from agriculture perspective, one can say that cooperatives have not been a huge success. They've not been a huge success because I can bat from the no side to a large extent, isn't it? Yes, positive examples are there, but there are so many negative aspects to it as well. So one can say that the cooperative movement, despite a lot of institutional push, has not taken off in the 20th century. And in the 21st century, we are looking at new issues or new problems. Why? First of all, in 1991, we brought liberalization, privatization, globalization. So what it did was it opened up the market. So it opened up the agriculture sector to new kind of challenges. So what we needed in 21st century was new kinds of models, not just the plain cooperative model, but new kinds of aggregation models were to be brought. And in regard to this, I can say in the 21st century, not just in India, but in many other countries as well, FPOs have been successful. But in India, FPO or FPC, the farmer producer companies, they became a very important template for improvement of farmers' income, for improvement of farmer status at the grassroots level. All right. And in fact, many people, to answer this particular question, many people do agree that cooperatives have faltered, not failed, but faltered. The cooperative movement has faltered. But many people suggest that FPOs, they shall succeed or they must succeed to usher in the new era of 21st century and for farmers' welfare. Now, question comes up, sir, what is this FPO? And I want to understand that you spoke about cooperatives a lot. I want to understand the nuances between the two. FPO, Farmer Producer Organization. It's a primary producers organization. Producers can be farmers, milk producers, the fishermen, any kind of agriculture produce. The intention is basically to increase the bargaining power or negotiating power of the farmers in light of the economic developments that have come up. So the term here that we need to focus on, organization or company. Okay, organization or company. Now you need to understand, first of all, in India, FPO is a legal entity. It can be a company, it can be a cooperative, or it can be any other legal entity, organization, etc. It can be a trust which has to be registered. Remember, it's a legal entity. It can be registered under the Cooperatives Act or Cooperative Societies Act. It can be in the Multi-State Cooperative Society Act. But majority of the FPOs are registered under the Companies Act. Companies Act 1956, which was later on amended in 2013 to add a specific chapter for the FPOs itself. All right. So it can be registered under cooperatives or companies or say even public trust. But remember, when I talk about FPOs, large amount of farmer producer organizations, and when you hear the term FPC, if it is a C, it will potentially be registered under the Companies Act. I think by now you have got a slight idea about where we are moving. All right. Now, when you talk about the differences, yes, we have cooperatives. Cooperatives also have to be registered. You do understand they have to be registered under the Cooperatives Act, but they are regulated by the Registrar of Cooperatives, and it's a state subject, so states regulate them. You do understand. But there are some nuances. Cooperatives are more specific. Say, for example, Amul, right? Amul is one cooperative specific to milk, right? So, a very good success story. FPOs, the farmer producer organizations or farmer producer companies, are form agnostic. That means they are not limited to one particular form, and their mandate is much broader. For instance, the cooperatives, yes, they are people centric, agreed. The FPO fundamentally is people centric, and that too specific to farmers, because we are talking about FPO. It is specific to people, yes, but it also takes into consideration the market nuances or market movements. And as I told you, their mandate is broader. FPOs can provide end-to-end support. See, if this is the farmer, what the FPO shall do is they will help in the backward linkages, they will help in the forward linkages as well. And as I told you, the idea is corporatization. If you look at the differences, you'll see the registration of cooperatives is done in Cooperative Societies Act, but for FPO, it is generally done in Indian Companies Act. It is possible through others as well. Objectives, it is single objective for cooperatives, but it is multiple objective for a producer company. For a cooperative, it is restricted to one particular area. Operations can be expanded depending on the success of the cooperatives. But for a FPO or for a producer company, its mandate is towards entire country. Of course, the membership is depending on people only. Membership is depending on people only. With respect to profit sharing, it is limited to dividends on shares in cooperatives. But here, the profits are commensurate to the volume of business. That means if the FPO or the FPC is growing, the income for farmers will also continuously grow. Apart from that, the biggest aspect is governmental control. Now, for cooperatives, they are highly regulated by the government. They are regulated by the registrar of cooperatives. But the FPCs, farmer producer companies or FPOs, they have minimal or limited statutory requirement. Yes, they need to be registered, and they need to file their returns, etc. But the government intervention in the cooperatives would be rather minimal. So what we can say is they are mostly autonomous. Apart from that, they have to create their reserves. It's very similar to company because they have to file their IT returns, they have to show that their reserves are increasing, etc. And their borrowing power is quite immense in comparison to cooperatives. All right. So I hope you have gotten the clear idea between cooperatives and your farmer producer organizations. Clear? Now, question comes up, sir, what are the principles of FPO? Very similar to cooperatives. They are based on voluntary and open membership. Yes, they are based on democratic control. Remember, the control of the company is finally with the farmers. There is a connect between farmer and the economic community. That means it is a model where farmer and the corporate entities can come together. It is also based on principle of autonomy and independence. We need to focus more and more on information and education of FPOs because it is, I would say, a rather newer kind of idea. So cooperation among FPOs and concern for community are the 7 pillars of any FPO or FPC in India. Now question comes up, so what is the status? Where do we stand? And I told you that in the 21st century, this idea has emerged. Why? To a large extent, because the cooperative idea or the cooperative movement in agriculture sector has faltered to a large extent because of the failure of land reforms, because of the failure of the problems connected with cooperative. So for the first time, the YK Alag committee, which was constituted in 1999, it gave its recommendation in 2003, where they gave an idea of alternative state-sponsored cooperatives. And there they mentioned the idea of farmer producer organization, and slowly and steadily the idea emerged in India. In 2011, the Small Farmer Agriculture Consortium, it started a pilot program to start farmer producer companies or farmer producer organizations in India. And in 2013, we came up with a guideline or national policy for farmer producer organizations. In 1958 itself, we came up with the policy on cooperatives, but now we came up with a policy on FPO. And a big push has come from the government side in 2020 when Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he launched the Farmer Producer Organization Scheme in India with a target to bring 10,000 FPOs in the country by 2027. All right. Now, this is the government target. As I told you, we will come up with 10,000 new farmer producer organizations. The cost of this has been given through the scheme itself. Remember, it is a central sector scheme. That means the complete funding would come from the central government, and there will be implementing agencies. Of course, SFAC is Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium is one of the implementing agencies. Apart from that, there is National Cooperative Development Corporation, NABARD is there, NAFED is there, the Tamil Nadu SFAC is there, the Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium, Haryana, different states are also involved as implementing agencies. All right. Now, question comes up. So, what are the benefits of this? The biggest benefit, whenever we talk about FPO, the biggest benefit is this: there is economies of scale. As I told you, many farmers have small and marginal land holding. So, what we need is some sort of a cooperative model for sure. That means we need to bring economies of scale because a single farmer is not able to sustain his livelihood through farming. So what is needed is economies of scale, and FPO provides that. Apart from that, it provides it provides benefit of less production cost, that means larger income. It helps in dissemination of information. It helps in say a bigger reach for the farmers, group of farmers, and it also gives access to technology. Now you'll be thinking, sir, how access to technology? I told you the FPO is a model where you have a farmer producer organization and there is corporatization for sure. There is corporatization for sure. It doesn't mean that a private company has to invest. No, the farmer producer organization, it is based on some sort of requirements. You can see it is like a company, it is like an organization. So when you want to create a FPO, what you need is you need at least 10 members and 5 directors to begin the processing. That means you have brought some sort of managerial revolution in the earlier cooperative model. So you do understand what is the basic difference or basic nuance here is you will see on one side there are cooperatives and on other side there is FPO. Add some sort of managerial improvement and autonomy and independence to cooperatives, you can see a model of farmer producer organization. So they are professional organizations. So these corporate ideas, corporate information, corporate policies, they will help enhance the reach of farmers. All right. And to begin, there are basic requirements that they need to have a registered office. Yes. And they also need to have some sort of paid up capital, although this requirement has been removed now. So what they need is they need minimum 10 members in the management, 5 directors. Yes, they will be appointing their own people, manager, the social media manager, the marketing manager, the marketing personnel, etc. And they will help grow the company or grow the organization. And the root of that are farmers, of course. Now, question comes up, so what is the status today? In India, as of today, it is said we have 7,600 producer companies or 7,600 FPOs. Now, which are attached with different implementing agencies like SFAC, state governments, etc. Now, if you look at the distribution, some states in India have been doing excellent work. Maharashtra, West Bengal, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Odisha, and Uttar Pradesh, including Rajasthan, they have been doing excellent work in terms of bringing more and more farmer producer organizations. In fact, these states amount to 65% of the FPOs or FPCs in the entire country. If you look at the last 3 years, from 2020, West Bengal and Maharashtra, they have added more than 50% of FPOs in India in the last 3 to 4 years. So great progress is being seen, and probably we will be achieving the target of 10,000 FPOs soon. All right. Now, I told you that there are some best cases. We'll talk about the UP model, but there are some best cases who have done excellent work. For instance, last year, the Adana Millet Farmer Producer Organization, it was selected as one of the FPOs to represent India at Dubai Festival, and it was given a lot of appreciation for promoting millets. Apart from that, this year Indian FPOs, they tasted success with watermelon at the Dubai Fest. Again, it was the Swasangarsh Organic Farming Producer Organization. Apart from this, you can talk about so many best cases, example like Jagannath Corporation Producer, Pashu Samvardhana Producers, Dhari Krishak Vikas Producer Gujarat, Kerala. You have so many examples. You have Vegetable Growers Association from Pune. You have a Payas milk producer, Mahi milk producer. So many new farmer producer organizations, they have been doing quite excellent work, giving benefits eventually to the farmers. And I told you why we are discussing this, because recently UP has also become a very important hub for the farmer producer organizations. They have brought certain best practices which can be replicated by other states. For instance, UP, Uttar Pradesh government, it constituted a dedicated farmer producer cell which will handle all the queries, all the request applications connected to FPOs. They will be providing support to the FPOs. Apart from that, there is a FPO Shakti portal which has been launched. This is like a one-stop solution for all grievance which are connected with farmers and farmer producers organizations. So as of July 15, 2023, UP has close to 1,600 FPOs with a total turnover of 229 crore, according to the portal, which is huge number, right? So this has become a success story, and a lot of this credit has to go to one particular scheme as well, one district, one product, because under this, there are so many new FPOs which have come, even surrounded or product or keeping product at the center. All right. So success has come in many areas for UP. Apart from this, we need to talk about some challenges which we are facing as of now. Yes, many FPOs are coming up. Yes, they are being registered, but they are not able to grow proportionately. Probably in the upcoming years, you will hear more and more about many successful farmer producer organizations in our country. There are different challenges. The first challenge is the size of membership of farmer producer organization. See, according to Ministry of Agriculture and different research and inputs that they have received, to make a FPO viable, they need to have a turnover of 5 crore rupees, a net profit of about 30 to 50 lakh in the first 2 to 3 years. Now, to achieve this particular number, any organization, any company, it must have a membership of close to 2,000 to 3,000 farmers. It can be specific to one product as well, but the membership has to be very high. We are talking about economies of scale. We are talking about small and marginal farmers who have to be brought together. So what the ideal number for one FPO, it would be somewhere around 2,000 to 3,000. In India, the guidelines suggest the minimum number should be 300 farmers. I'm not talking about the directors. Please remember, farmers are the primary input to FPO. It would be run by the corporate. It would be run in a corporate model. That means 10 members in the management, 5 directors, right? That's the idea. But in India, we find FPOs which have very less amount of farmer members. So what would it lead to? Yes, we are creating many, but how many of will they be viable in future? That is the question. So we need to ensure that economies of scale has to be achieved. Apart from that, there is one more issue of capital requirement. So when a company is starting, they need loans, isn't it? They need loans. Yes, agricultural loans are relatively cheaper. You will find agricultural loans somewhere at an interest rate between 3 to 7%, I would say, right? Depending on different institutions, because they come under the priority sector. But FPO, farmer producer organization, or farmer producer company, since it's based on the corporate model itself, so they have to seek larger credit, mostly from the MFIs, different financial institutions, at microfinance institutions, etc., at a smaller rate. Sorry, at a higher rate. Pardon me, at a higher rate, and the rates can go as high as 18% for these. So availability of credit and capital is one of the main areas where we need to focus on. Apart from that, there is a lack of managerial manpower at FPOs. So this is one of the issues that we see, and let me give you an argument based on common sense itself. A simple kind of thing is, you have a FPO, farmer producer organization. That means farmers typically based in rural areas, and you are supposed to run a company for them. You are supposed to become a manager for the farmers. How many of you will say yes? Because you will have to have a lot of rural visits, etc. Of course, you can have your office at an urban place, at a taluk place, etc. But how many managers will be willing to do it? All right. Now, apart from that, business planning for FPOs has to be much better, looking at the complex market in India, because in India we find problems with backward linkage and forward linkage as well. There are infrastructural issues, there are issues with farmers, because if it is a FPO, they have to provide support to the farmers as well. That means access to advanced technology, access to credit to the farmers, because through FPO we can even progress the idea of the contract farming, etc., right? So what we need is, we need to bring better linkages, say better transportation, better harvest technologies, better post harvest storage, and better post harvest techniques. So all these things are needed, not just from the farmer side, but even pushing towards the market. And to move towards the market, what we need is, we need a brand building. And in India, brand building has become a huge challenge. For a FPO, they have to build a brand, isn't it? And when I say brand, say for example, we spoke about Adarna millet, we spoke about different watermelon FPO. So yes, they are specific to say product as a watermelon, right? But that has to be promoted. And for that, problems connected to farmers till the company, logistical issues from the company, the forward logistical issues as well. And among all these things, you have to build a brand for yourself. And in a country like India with huge population, uh, FPO cooperation is sought, but many a times we see FPO competition as well, isn't it? Apart from that, there is a lot of regional disparity as of now in terms of FPO clusters. They are currently focused in some states like, say, UP, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Karnataka, Rajasthan, etc. But what we need is some sort of a regional balance in terms of farmer producer organizations. We need to focus on the northeastern region. We need to focus on specific clusters. In fact, this can help India with a proper and a rationalized agriculture production as well. That means area specific, climate specific production from that particular area can be achieved through the farmer producer organizations. And one of the ideas could be this: one district, one product. See, the idea here is one district, one product. In India, we have how many districts? I would say, I don't remember the exact number though, somewhere around 750 plus, because every other day new districts come up. I was recently reading that Rajasthan is coming up, I think, coming up with 3 new districts, right? So 750 plus districts are there. And if you simply see that one district, if it is able to provide you around 20 FPOs, right, around 20 FPOs, so you are going to look at a number close to 15,000 FPOs. We will achieve the target. Not just specific to one product. Yes, some of the FPOs can focus on one product from one district, and there can be other FPOs who have a broader mandate, who are promoting, say different kind of products. For instance, I can give one example from my place nearby. There is a district called as Kalburgi in Karnataka. Kalburgi is known as the Tuar ball of Karnataka. They are known for Tuar, Arhar Dal. So they have created a very successful farmer producer organization to promote Tuar Dal. So one of the examples where we can create region specific FPOs or product specific FPOs from a particular district, right? Just an idea. So for you, for the answer writing, so by now you do understand what we need to do if we are supposed to achieve the target of 10,000 FPOs, which are financially viable, which are going to do good, which are going to build a better brand and take their company forward. Then we need to resolve these challenges. The biggest challenges are with respect to membership and credit, because without resolving these two issues, we are looking at a short-term goal of simply achieving the number of FPOs on paper, but in letter and spirit, they are not really viable. So we need to ensure that they are sustainable in the long run. All right. With that note, let me end this discussion. I know it has been a little lengthy. I gave you a cautionary note. This is going to be a comprehensive discussion. All right. Nonetheless, again, happy Ayudh Puja and happy Dashera to all of you. Stay safe. Have a good festival. See you in the next class. Jai Hind.